Moving on, and a Queensland father has accused police of misconduct after he was charged for leaving his son at home unsupervised for a short time earlier this year.
8:30 p.m, May 12th. A Queensland father left his 9-year-old son at home alone while he went to a restaurant just 150 metres up the street to order dinner. Half an hour later, as the boy walked to the restaurant to catch up with Dad, he was picked up by passing police. Next thing, Dad is photographed, fingerprinted and charged with the criminal offence of leaving a child under 12 unattended, potentially facing a 3-year jail sentence. Now, keeping our kids safe is really important. But is this over the top?
Parents will always leave their children at risk if they don't supervise their children properly, especially when they're young.
In Australia, there is a legal obligation for parents to make sure their kids are properly looked after, with laws covering the provision of food, clothing, shelter and supervision. But did this dad really deserve to land in court? And isn't part of raising responsible kids actually about giving them some responsibility?
To answer those questions and more, we're talking to parenting expert and author Dr. Justin Coulson. Justin, what do you make of this case?
We have really limited information, so it's hard to speak specifically about this case. But I think that there'd be many parents who are watching the project tonight who are saying, well, you know, I've left my 7-year-old or my 9-year-old or my 11-year-old at home, and I wonder if I could get charged for doing that. It does seem from the details that we have that it's a bit rough.
Absolutely, and I would have thought it was a parent's decision when to leave, I mean, not a baby or toddler, but an older child at home for a few moments. But you hear a case like this and you think, well, maybe it's not actually our decision.
Yeah, I think that it depends on which state you're in, and it's a very technical grey area in terms of the legislation, but it seems like parents don't have as much say in this as we might have ordinarily thought.
Do you know, Justin, I was actually never allowed to assert my independence as a child. It sounds awful, but strictly under padlock and key. In your opinion, though, do you think there's ever a right age to leave your child alone?
You know, I think that it's that exact question that puts us into the trouble that we're in right now. Everybody knows that context matters. Children mature at different ages, environments are different. Mum might be popping up for 5 minutes, 15 minutes or 50 minutes. There are so many contextual factors that I just don't think that it's right to put an age on it and say, here's the hard and fast rule and we have to stick to that rule.
I think what's hard for a lot of people is that this feels different to their own childhood. You know, we walked around the neighbourhood, we played till it got dark, we rode our bike to school, we walked to school, we were unsupervised the whole time. What has changed so much that the children today are different to children when we were growing up?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like we've got the same freedom that we used to have. I think our society's become a lot more safety conscious. We see it in the workplace, we see it at school, and it's starting to pervade our homes as well. There's nothing the matter with being safety conscious, but what's happening is we're breeding an epidemic of helicopter parents.
I have to say, Justin, I try and teach my son, you know, to have a little independence. I even had the cops come to me once on an oval for letting him ride around an oval on his own. And I thought, you know, it's really hard because you're trying to teach a child to have some responsibility and a sense of independence, but you don't want to be seen as doing the wrong thing by your child. So where does it kind of leave us?
I think that most parents know their children well enough to work out what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them, and we need to let parents do their job.
Justin, great advice. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, guys.